Welcome to the Life Matters podcast with enlightening conversations on success and living well. My guests are all motivated by the desire to make a difference, and they share their wisdom, personal journeys, and a host of practical guidance that we can apply in our lives. Subscribe on your favourite platform and never miss an episode. Today, I'm joined by Alex Barron. Alex specialises in fitness and nutrition, working with clients who struggle to make changes, empowering them to achieve the fitness goals they want. He takes a holistic approach to how we eat, move, and think that is realistic, providing the foundation for change. Alex, through his own lived experience, has overcome his own challenges that has informed how he works with clients, what works, why we don't keep our promises to ourselves, and how, through building our self-esteem, we are enabled to lead the lives we aspire to, not the ones we fall into. Hello, Alex. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Diane. Excited to be here.
We're here to talk about fitness and you as a fitness coach. Can you tell me what your backstory is, how you got involved and became passionate about this, and maybe what's gone on in your life up until this point?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been kind of in and out of the gym since I was quite young. My dad got me into it when I was young, but never really committed to it properly until maybe the last 3 or 4 years. And that was because there was quite a lot going on in my life where I was essentially living a bit of a double life with my parents and what was going on outside of that. I had some pivotal experiences that forced me to take a pretty long, hard look at myself and how I wanted to live my life. So fitness became a bit of a vessel for me to feel some comfort in my life and to feel like I was doing something healthy and positive whilst the rest of my life was very, very chaotic. So I was using drugs and alcohol throughout my early teens from 13 up to the age of, well, I'm not like 100% sober, very much sober curious, but until about the age of 25, this was my life. It was complete chaos. I crashed my car, DUI, and there was somebody there, and I don't remember the situation whatsoever. And the woman that was there was making sure that I got to my parents rather than handed over to the authorities. And all of a sudden, my parents and all of my family, all of my friends' families and friends knew exactly what I've been up to and what I've been hiding from everyone for such a long time. So I was exposed for everything that I'd been doing. And I felt a lot of shame and guilt about this whole scenario. And it made me start to think about who I was spending all of my time with and what those times were actually looking like and how much pain it was actually causing me to be going through that. My self-esteem was really low, and that was why I was using all of these things, because I realized that was true only because when I came out the other side of it and start rebuilding, I realized how low my self-esteem was, how low my self-worth was. So
And was it just something that you slid into over time without it really realizing? Did it just sort of creep up on you, do you think? Was it because your immediate peers were in that space as well? So have you had to reinvent your friendship groups and stuff?
yeah, and that's not something that's easy or something that you can do overnight. And I was still very much caught up in it for a while. You know, it wasn't this dramatic turning point where everything was just gone and my whole life was repaired. I was still very much struggling within the mess of it all. And I was still doing it here and there. You know, I needed my little blowout every once in a while to kind of keep me going. But it gave me that structure to just be able to say no a bit more, to find myself in a situation where I was doing more healthy things every day for myself. So, and that was key.
So do you think then fitness, I mean, I hear a lot about people who have had one form of addiction or behavior that they want to stop, but fitness often is the sort of the foundation of this change and the beginning of them becoming who they really are. Why is that, do you think? What's so amazing about exercise and fitness?
Such a good question. And it's something I think about all of the time and talk about on my social media. And I think obviously you get the physical benefits of exercise, the endorphin release. But what really comes from that I think is the most powerful, especially if you are following something structured that's progressing you over time, is that you get those continuous receipts that you can do the things that you say you will. And I think that's so important for self-esteem. Like if you've been through a heartbreak or loss or addictions or anything like that, rebuilding your self-esteem to trust yourself, because trust is lost in these processes. How can I behave so outrageously in my life? How can I allow people to treat me this way? Or how can I treat myself this way for such a long time? There's almost a grievance of the old self that needs to go on. But the gym gives you that ability to prove to yourself you can keep showing up. It's not going to fix your mental health. I know a lot of guys that absolutely bury themselves in fitness trying to escape their emotions, and it becomes this unhealthy hamster wheel where we're chasing this constant progression all of the time. It is a great vessel for you to develop yourself, but can also be quite unhealthy. So I think that's an distinction as well.
I think you're right. And because actually, in some ways, it could just be a case of replacing one addictive behavior with another, which actually really isn't resolving what the addiction's been about in the first place, is it?
No, I mean, it's certainly a much healthier place to be than lines and stuff and late nights. So
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So I was going to ask you, what's the hardest thing you've ever done?
yeah, I mean, it's a challenging question, because it's like, well, by what metric?
Yeah. By your own judgment then, what you feel has been hard or
For
you're
sure.
particularly proud of? Perhaps you're particularly proud of something that you've done. That's maybe
Yeah,
a more positive.
absolutely. I think one of the hardest things I've ever done was to actually leave my recent employment, as I was with them for 10 years, but I wasn't happy there for a long time. But that safety net of the work and the decent money, and having everything, all of my bills covered by my income, that was probably one of the hardest decisions I've had to make, because I was stepping into the unknown with the fitness business and leaving behind something I've been so committed to for so long. And in a way, it was almost like its own kind of trauma bond, where you're kind of stuck in a situation where it's not healthy for you, what it's doing for you for so long, but you kind of can't can't bring yourself to step out of the situation. I think a lot of people go through that with lots of different areas of their life. So that was a big decision for me. Hardest thing I've ever done, though. So I think physically, one of the best things I've ever done, I actually completed a 75 hard at the beginning of last year. I committed to 75 days of one 45-minute indoor exercise session and one 45-minute outdoor exercise session a day. And you also had to do like 10 minutes of structured reading, sticking to a diet, drinking a certain amount of water, and sticking to all of these habits every day. And it's a challenge designed to help you to refine yourself and to
Well,
do the 2 rounds of exercise every single day. That's the hardest part of the challenge, because you have to do outdoor, even if it's raining, going for a walk in the middle of the rain. Like, it's not a great place to be. That was
that does
probably
sound hard. I can see where it gets its name from. 75 days. Were there a few times that you nearly quit?
so with the exercise was actually the thing that I was kind of focusing primarily on. You're trying to tick that box every day. That was the real hard thing. For the rest of it, I actually found the rest of it fairly okay, because I fairly stay focused with that type of thing. I've been trying to refine those habits for quite a long time with nutrition and structure like that. So the exercise was probably the most demanding part of it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm absolutely
I
pressing
mean,
this.
one of the things is it hot where you are?
It's hot, yeah.
God, I know. We just this country, we're just not geared up for hot weather. So one of the things that struck me, and I'm going a bit off script here, is knowing you is, yeah, I know that you're amazing with your fitness and your knowledge. And actually, that is one of the things that does impress me a lot about you, is how much you know, but also how aware you are. Because I find I'm very interested in personal development, but I find I can talk to you and there's almost nothing I can talk to you about that you don't have a view on or have read something or know who I'm talking about, which is I have to say, is really impressive. So when did you start down? Because you're not just about fitness, are you? You're very holistic. You understand mindset, what motivates you. I think you've got a lot of self-understanding. So many people that go down, something I only came across recently was about talking about self-understanding as opposed to self-improvement. And I like that approach so much more. So when did you start looking at all of this stuff around your own self-understanding? Because you're not just one dimensional across fitness and nutrition, are you?
No, for sure. So what's really interesting about this, and I know a couple of other people that are like this, and it's that I am someone that really likes to try and understand things, and it's because I need to feel like I have a sense of control, and it's not helpful a lot of the time, to be honest with you, to understand and know your own patterns inside out. I could explain to you exactly how I might behave because of the trauma I've been through and the pain that I've been through, but that's not actually very helpful if you don't have something to put that energy into, or if you're then going to start withdrawing yourself from situations that are going to cause you pain. Because if I'm super aware of all of my patterns, and I know that I don't want to be in this situation because it's going to cause this pattern, that's not helping. Actually, what we need to understand is that moving towards your pains and your insecurities is how you actually improve them. You can have an anxious attachment style in a relationship. And if you have that, and someone starts to pull away from you, your only way through that really is to embrace the fact that you might be experiencing part of your own wounded self in that. So understanding your patterns is great, but you actually need to move towards the things that are scaring you and making you feel insecure to rebuild confidence and trust in those situations.
So it's about taking action then, even if, and being able to endure the discomfort of doing things differently.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Think that's the key thing. Where everyone's talking about their mental health right now, and we're all becoming more and more aware of ourselves, and people are doing therapy. But I found that my mental health improved the most when I started to build proof for myself, when I rebuilt my self-esteem
Yeah.
through action all the way.
So what gets in the way for people in terms of making the changes they want but not following through, would you say?
So quite a common thing is just feeling like you can do everything yourself, and it's coming back to this kind of ego center. I felt like I was doing okay with my training and stuff like that for a long time, but I wasn't really getting results. Accountability for me really changed my life. I think one of the main things that people get is that they don't actually stay in the thing that they care about long enough to actually see the results, because once you start to see the result in yourself, that becomes its own motivation. You don't need a kick up the arse anymore because you can see it for yourself.
I love that. And that actually really speaks to me because I'm on day 67, she says, of not drinking. And well, first of all, I'm going to say how hard I found it, which has
Hmm.
shocked me. But I agree with you. Once you start really stacking the days, even though the temptation can still be there, and one of the hardest things, of course, was going on a holiday and not having a drink. But once you start stacking the days, I just don't want to cave now because I will be so upset with myself. And when I am tempted, when I am inclined to, oh God, yeah, I'd really love a glass of wine now. I just take myself forward to how I'm going to feel the next day about myself. I'll be so disappointed with myself at going back. So I think you're right. Getting some results, getting something under your belt really is helpful.
Yeah, I think what you said there as well is because now, Diane, what you're seeing with yourself is that your identity is shifting away from it and becoming clear about a person that you don't want to be anymore. And I think that is a really pivotal moment for people to have with themselves, to actually sit down and understand, who do I not want to be? And who is that? Where is that person showing up in my life in a negative way? So, something that I've worked with a couple of people on recently is having an anti vision. So, having having the exact life that you don't want to be. What happens now in 5 years if we don't make any of the changes that we think will benefit us right now? And that becomes your fallback. I don't want to be that guy that is spending half the week hungover, reminding myself that I'm not depressed just because I've got this lingering hangover from a wild night taking drugs and drinking, So
I think that is what you've just said is amazing, actually. Completely get it. And that change of identity is it's unsettling. It makes you feel a bit, "Oh, God, who am I going to be without this? Do I actually want to do these things?" And also being really honest about the company that you keep. Well, these are the people that I always used to go to the pub with. And I hate to say it, but there is the Winston Churchill expression that actually is very true for me. That whole "I drink to make people more interesting." There's been a
yeah,
few of those people in my life.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I
Yeah.
touched on this before where you realize who your real friends are when you stop going out all of the time, when you stop smoking, when you stop doing this and that, because you realize that you're actually just spending time with a lot of people because you share this negative habit together.
Yeah, yeah, so true. Gosh, wish I'd known this a long time ago, but clearly it's all unfolding as it's supposed to. How is someone, I want to get into the fitness piece now because this is interesting to me as well. How should someone stay out of shape? Not in the least bit inspired, really, but in that place of feeling absolutely stuck. I'm tired of feeling stuck and they just want to create that shift. What could they do in the early days of trying to change? Because we've already touched a little bit on how easy, not how easy, but how building on the behavior helps to support us. But what about getting started in the beginning?
Yeah. So, I mean, what are we talking about here? The low hanging pieces of fruit that are going to move you towards greater health and well being.
Yeah, just even getting started. Because I mean, so many people try things, don't they? And they maybe start and they give up on day two, or "I'll start on Monday" is the classic phrase, isn't it? After the weekend. It's procrastination, really, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's ultimately understanding your why, I think, here is so important. And this is what I do with the people I speak to on discovery calls is we need to understand why this is important to you right now. And if it's not that important to you right now, then let's not do it. So a lot of people have their own motivations. They're watching their kids grow up and they're feeling out of shape, or their missus has given it to them in the ear hole because they're getting fat now. So low hanging pieces of fruit to start moving towards improved well-being is the first thing that I prescribe to anybody in any kind of fitness program is to start doing a step count. And it's a fairly small win that we can take every day, but it forces people out of their houses and now in the fresh air and in the sunshine, which has such a dramatic effect on our health and well-being. You've probably noticed yourself the last few weeks how since we've come out of this shady winter, everyone's just a bit more happy and the days just feel a lot lighter. So it's certainly been nice the last few days. Getting outside in nature is one of the key things I think for your well-being. A lot of people forget where we actually originate as humans without going super spiritual and hippie here. But we were born out of the bush, and now we're in these concrete buildings and are blocked away from all of this natural light, which is so key to our well-being. So that would be like a key space to start for improving your mental health. When it comes to training, a lot of people will try lots of different styles of training, and I think if you find something that you enjoy, you should stick to that. Then
Yeah.
there is what you need versus what you want. So for what you want is finding enjoyment in something that you can repeatedly do. In terms of what you need to prevent yourself from aging prematurely, to have nice strong bones and muscles, and to be able to eat more food and enjoy that. Resistance training is the ultimate exercise program that you can follow. It's second to none. Your cardiovascular is going to give you that repetitive, monotonous motion and that endorphin release. But the resistance training is what's actually going to help you to keep your weight off, what's going to help you to build your physique so that the composition looks good. It's not all about looking good on the beach. It's also about just being able to eat more food and for longer. So
Yeah, and actually that's very interesting you mentioned food. When do you start talking when you're coaching someone, do you look at their food immediately as well? Do you encourage them to use things like food journals or
yeah, so it depends on the individual, really. Some people really like to have a bit of flexibility in their diet, and we can handle that with calorie tracking. I always encourage people to try and adopt a whole food approach as much as possible, as that really helps with your satiety, but also just providing your body with as many nutrients as possible from the food that you're eating. I, I think a whole foods approach is key for improving our health and our well-being in the long term. Including a little bit of ultra processed food in your diet as a bit of balance is fine. It's not a massive deal. And if we are focusing more on a sort of 80-20 split most of the time, then we're doing okay. We're going to be feeling good. And most people really aren't there. So you're going to be doing better than most of the population. The ultra processed foods, they're hyper palatable. They're so addictive. And it's why we can't step away from them, a lot of us.
yeah. I'm absolutely in that camp. I'm a bit of a plug for Walker's Crisps here. I absolutely love Walker's Crisps. Cheese and onion flavor, but I've also worked out how long it takes me to burn off the calories that are contained in a bag of Walker's cheese and onion crisps, and it just isn't worth it to me. So I don't even keep them in the house now. Sorry, Walker's, your figures will plummet as a result of the loss of my sales. I just and then like you say, that they're so addictive. I won't just eat one packet. It'll be two or it'll be three. So
Yeah.
I just have to just cut them out of my life and not have them. So I don't now.
Well, there's
It doesn't take that long either for you to get over that. That's what's so interesting, I think.
yeah, absolutely. There's a really good book that you would enjoy. It's called Salt, Sugar, Fat. And I would actually highly recommend that to anybody that's interested because it goes into a lot of we'll call it what it is. It is skullduggery that goes on with the food and pharmaceuticals industry to push us to eat these foods. They combine different elements at the most addictive point to make us addicted to the food. So combinations of sugar, salt, and fat put together is a lethal combination for the body to become addicted. So really good.
Yeah. I think I heard somewhere the reason that people love donuts so much is because of that combination of fat and sugar, the balance of it, the ratio of it. That's why
Yeah.
people, donuts are just so addictive to so many people. I mean, they're not my thing. Crisps, as you've just learned, are my thing. So, one of the things that I love about, and I'm going off flow a bit here. One of the things I love about your Instagram feed actually is that you are so authentic and so honest and so real in that feed. And also, I think you honor and are realistic about what's possible for people. And I think you talk about, you know, not having to be perfect. That, if it falls down, you just don't beat yourself up and you get back on it again. And it's not the end of the world. And I love that approach. I think it's a really compassionate approach, actually.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to realize that we're not bodybuilders and we're not like trained athletes. Now, I think training your body like an athlete is only going to benefit you from a health and well-being perspective. But a lot of us are just trying to improve our image a little bit and feel like we're showing up and doing things for ourselves. So most of my clients are lifestyle clients where we've still got socials, we've got things we want to work around, and it's about keeping that consistency whilst working towards the goal. And a lot of people have really unhealthy ideas of what a good week is and what a bad week is. And my clients will jump in and they'll say they've had a 5 out of 10 week and it's because they've had two takeaways. And I'm like, okay, but we did all of our training sessions. Your scale weight has moved in the direction that we're looking for. You got stronger on every lift this week. Like, relax, it's fine. So a lot of the posts that I create sometimes are because my clients have come to me and they've been really unhappy with how things have gone. And I've looked at it, I've gone, what are we stressing about here? And at the end of the day, you've got a life. You went out and had fun this weekend. I'm so happy you had fun because you had a psychological reset, which means you come back into this week and you're probably going to have a fantastic week in the gym. So have fun.
Yeah. That's so wonderful, I think, to get that support from somebody, because I know what I would be like. I would be exactly as you're describing your clients, rocking up, feeling guilty, feeling I'm not good enough. Can we talk about some of the sort of the brain chemistry and what goes on for people when they exercise, why it's so positive, not just because of, the physical changes we see in our bodies, which, are obviously very pleasing to us and build our self-esteem in terms of our image, but there's even more fantastic things going on inside that we can't see, aren't there, in terms of serotonin and dopamine. And can you can you talk to me a little bit about what happens with brain chemistry with exercise and so on?
Yeah, I think we can cover it for sure. It's an area that I'm certainly interested in. I think the one of the main things that exercise is going to do for you is to help you to transition to a more natural dopamine source. So, as you know, we're all quite hooked at the moment when it comes to our devices and other things that maybe we're leaning on for dopamine, whether it be cigarettes, alcohol, drugs, all those intense bursts, gambling, sex, porn, all of these things. And regaining some control in your life so that you can start to move towards the things that you maybe aspire to happens by regaining some control over dopamine. So exercise is a really important vessel there because not only do you get that from going to the gym, but then the progression that you get from the gym is also dopamine boosting. You can see for yourself that you're achieving results. Every time you go to your workout log and you beat your high score from the previous week, you're banking those dopamine hits again in a much more constructive and positive way.
To ask you about working with some of your clients, have there been surprise payoffs for them outside of their original goals around fitness?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people that I start to speak to are usually coming in because they want to improve their composition in some way and they want to lose some fat or they want to build some muscle. Now, the byproduct of that is, of course, that you improve your confidence. But one of the best transformations I'm actually the most proud of, and it's not a physical one, is that one of my guys has been going through quite a stressful period with work commitments recently and things going on. And just from having a little bit of my own experience with dealing with my own issues, helping him to mitigate this stress. And there was a period where Jim was really struggling. He was having low motivation and we weren't moving towards the result that we originally planned. But we was able to talk about the issues that we was going through, not like a therapist, because that's not my ballpark whatsoever, but from a higher level, how can we mitigate some of this stress so that you can handle this situation better? And this is so key because we can look at our mental health as this thing that happens, right? That is reactive, but it's actually holistic. So taking care of your body helps your mental health. Taking care of your gut health helps your mental health. They're coordinated by the vagus nerve, an inflammatory response in the gut causes an inflammatory response in the brain, which can also cause you to have mental distress. So, by working with my guys to achieve that whole foods approach, but then to also look at their stress, what can we do to manage this stress? We're doing breath work sessions, going for evening walks to give ourselves that buffer away from devices before we go to bed so we can create that downshift and down regulation into a deeper, better sleep, which is again improving our ability to handle our stress. And you won't
Yeah.
even notice that happening until suddenly you just feel like, I just feel a lot lighter because I've been following this kind of routine and habit. So one of my best guys for this, I won't name him right now, but his work colleagues can't believe the difference in him. He's showing up to the gym every day. He's lost over 8 kilos. He's looking fantastic. He plays paddle with his son, and his son can't believe how well he's keeping up with his fitness now. So this was a completely unexpected person for me to work with. I wasn't expecting them to buy into the process so well, but it's really had a dramatic shift. So
Well, that's amazing. What a beautiful role model he's become for his son.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's the thing, isn't it? So it's the ripple effect. It's not just on the individual, it's on their relationships with their family and their friends and how they show up at work. So it's huge, absolutely huge.
Yeah.
So what's next for you, Alex? What's on what's your vision for you in 3 years' time? Have you got one? It doesn't have to be 3 years. I'm just plucking 3 years out of a thin air. Where would you like to take all of this?
Yeah, I mean, I had a vision, and it's actually on my phone right now. I'll
Oh,
show
is
you.
it? Right.
So, hundreds of lives changed. I'm proud of every morning I chose this. And that's just my own little reminder of myself that I'm choosing something for myself. And I'm doing this to help other people to go through the transformation I feel like I've gone through with myself. So, I want to continue helping more people. I'd like to, from a beyond business, I'd like to build a lifestyle where I'm working remotely and doing this full time. Ultimately, that would be the dream. We're getting close and that feels good. But 3 years from now, who knows? I'm 30 years old now. I am at that age. My grandparents are all asking me what's going on. Like, am I going to find a girlfriend? Am I going to get married and settle down? And so, but
You've got loads of time from my end of the spectrum. You've got loads of time. Don't you be rushing. And how do you, just before we finish up here, how do you stay now on the path and who inspires you? And because, you've talked about the importance of the support and the coaching and I'm a great one for doing stuff on my own. And I realize it's not a quality actually. It really can hold you back. So how do you stay inspired? And do you have mentors and coaches yourself?
yeah, absolutely. I currently have three different people that I'm working with that are helping me to stay accountable for different things. So I have a fitness coach who is a few steps ahead of me in the game. He's taught me a ton that's really helped me with my client stuff. He keeps me on the straight and narrow. Just because I know fitness doesn't mean that I'm always going to implement it. And having someone, even just having someone to show up to, is enough for me to stay on track. Some people are slightly different. They need a bit of daily accountability. With me and my coach, he's very hands off with me. I'm very hands off with him. And it's just, I need that checkpoint every week to keep me going. So, but I have a business mentor as well, someone who's taught me how and pushed me. You probably saw my Instagram where I couldn't do any talking on camera and I was quite open about it. And because I was then quite open about it, people kind of bought into the idea of, okay, well, he's trying it anyway. Like, let's join the journey. So,
I really love your Instagram. I think it's brilliant. And actually getting onto that subject, how can people follow you? Is Instagram the best way for people to connect with you?
yeah, Instagram's definitely the best way at the moment. That's the main place where I'm putting some effort in. I'm going to start maybe doing a bit of TikTok, but that one just feels
Yeah.
that one feels like I feel like my dad would judge me if I started doing TikTok. So we'll see how that one goes.
Have a conversation with him first, maybe. So on Instagram, you're at Alex Barron, Barron coach,
Yeah,
all one word. Is that
that's
right?
right.
Okay.
That's perfect.
Well, I think you're very inspiring, Alex, and in the conversations that I've had with you over the time I've known you, I'm always very impressed. And I think anybody who chooses you as a coach would be very lucky to work with you. So thank you for joining me today. It's been a great conversation as always.
Thank you so much, Diane. I always find you super inspiring to talk to. So I'm really happy to have done this with you today.
Well, thank you.